Today we are gonna build the last 3 LEGO minifigure habitats from the Dungeons & Dragons minifigure series. Hi everyone, welcome back to Robert Dreamer. We have 3 very cool minifigures here. Tasha the Witch Queen, Strahd von Zarovich, and Zastan, 3 of the villains from the Dungeons & Dragons LEGO minifigure series. This is gonna be the last one of my Dungeons & Dragons builds that started with the tavern, where I display all the minifigures together, followed by the landscape display for the case with all the minifigure, and then all the 9 habitats previous this one. So I think these last 3 are gonna be probably the nicer ones, and it's gonna be a little bit difficult to pick a favorite. So here we're gonna start with the vampire kind of minifigure, which is Strahd von Zarovich. This habitat is gonna resemble a little bit the one that I did for the Vampire Knight not long ago. I will link it in the description. You can see already here I added one of these D&D tiles. One side is going to be at the back, but this one at the front will give a little bit of printed interesting detail for this shelf area that we will fill later. At the back there, I'm going to create a big window. So this fencing area is perfect in black. So gray, red, and black with some gold accent are going to be the main color of this habitat. On the sides, I'm going to continue the masonry details, and I'm using some slot bricks to come on the side to frame in black the door, and I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So you can see I added some drapes over here. I didn't have the right pieces to make them come forward, so I built them sideways. So this is the only downside of this habitat, is that over here you can see the anti-stud, and I didn't have the right inverted parts. Potentially with some inverted slope, you can finish this nicely on this side. But anyway, I think it still looks good enough. Over here, we just need to top this off. I'm going to have this little structure coming down so that I can connect this to the jumper in the middle. And I'm doing this one end. Hopefully, it comes out nice. So you can see we have a little bit of this cross effect and the pointy top of the window, all framed in black. So this I think is pretty interesting. Then another interesting part is this sort of chair throne piece that I'm creating here in red with some golden accents. Now what I need to do here is to add an additional detail at the back. So you can see here I have this jumper because I'm going to add a modified plate with this sort of big key piece that is just slightly connected over here. I'm adding this because this will give me a very nice framing in gold on top of the chair, and then the chair is going to connect over there. I have a stud with the hole in the middle, and this is going to be the chair where Strahd is going to sit. This because I've looked at some reference images, and I saw him sitting on this big chair with this glass in his hand. I think it's pretty iconic. And here I'm going to add a couple of candles following the same color scheme. I'm giving them different heights to make the scene a little bit more interesting. And on top of the shelf, I'm going to add this knife. That was an extra knife that came in the series. This, I think, was from the Git Warlock. And also in the series, we have an extra cube portal from the Lady of Pain. I don't know whether it makes sense that he has those in his castle, but I think it's an interesting addition. I'm also going to add this a red mouse over here, and then I'm going to do something different for him. So I need to get him to sit, but not just sit in any possible way. But it's going to be quite interesting. So here I have to remove the legs. I know some people don't like to remove the legs, but I don't mind. I have the little structure with brackets. I'm going to add one leg at the bottom and one leg at the top, diagonal. So I'll make it look like if Strahd is actually crossing his legs. So he's going to connect over here. And I also planning on pouring something into the glass. So, I mean, this could be red wine, but I'm assuming more likely it's going to be blood, considering it's a vampire. So these have to, you can see I'm adding this plume piece coming out of the bottle that make it look like it's actually pouring into the glass. Now I just need to connect to this one stud over here, and this should align perfectly. Let's see if I can do it properly. it should align with the chair. It took a little bit of attempts to make it work. Let's see if I can do it on camera. There we go. Now I didn't take the cape out properly, but you can see the effect is pretty good. Now the last thing that we didn't add to the habitat yet is this sword. This one is not going to be connected, but I just planning to put it there at the window like so. So it give a little bit of extra color on that side because this side of the habitat was a little bit empty. So I think this one is super good. Now I'm going to move this one to the side and we are going to start working on Sasha the Witch Queen. So this is another very cool minifigure. I created a base here with some ingot pieces in dark gray. And on the back side, I have this big sort of fireplace. Very simple techniques. I'm just using basically some snot bricks over here. Similar technique like this I used in my Olympic game vignette not long ago. And to put these two in the center, I actually had to use some Technic bricks because I needed a little bit of extra space. Here in the middle, I'm going to add some big sort of cauldron, to which I add these sort of slimy looking trans yellowish pieces. And I'm just going to add some flames at the bottom, even though this one is just going to be sitting there. Of course, now that I'm on camera, this one is stuck, but we are going to fix it right away. So these are just there sitting and to make it look from the right perspective, like the flame are going around the cauldron, okay? Of course, there is another smaller one that is going to be here at the front. That is the one that comes with the minifigure. So this one is going to be at the front there. I'm going to need to black out a little bit the back because there's too much light coming in. So I'm just going to add some bricks over here so that from the front you don't see the light behind. And then I'm going to also add another wall, simple wall over here, to which I added this very interesting like Chinese golden kind of detail for this window over there. To add a little bit of additional detail, I'm planning to add these brackets underneath the plates. So we make it look like this is actually a sort of supported kind of shelf like we did in this other habitat over there. On top, I want to create another shelf, and this is a bit tricky because I have I wanted to add this bed, but then I also want to connect something at the front. So I did a technique that is not very good, but it kind of works. So I'm actually wedging this in between, and then with another one on top. So you can see here I added a couple of accessories, and then to make sure that everything stays there, I need to add one more brick over here, and then close everything on top. So now they can still slightly move, but not that much. So we have the bed coming down here. This is another extra accessory that comes from the series. This is some sort of potion that I guess a witch would need. And this is another extra sword that comes with the series. So I make a good use of all the parts that come in the series. Now, of course, we need to add some more details, and I have quite a few to add here. So over here, I'm going to add a broom. Classic witch stereotype, I guess. So we just need to push it over there. Then I'm gonna add one big bag over here. I don't know exactly what it's containing, but it's a nice detail. And then over here, I wanna create a place for a spell book. So I'm just gonna put this not connected. And then I'm using this hinge on top like this. And this basically is keeping the bottom part in place. On the window, I'm gonna add a small sort of plant because maybe she needs that for whatever potion she's working on. I'm gonna add a big spider over there and a big pumpkin over here to keep it a little bit Halloween themed. Now the last two details that we need to add to this one is, as I said, this spell book is gonna be over there, ready to read. And then I think I can give her a sort of wand. I don't know whether Tasha the Queen actually used wands, maybe not. But I think it was a nice touch with this Harry Potter one that can be regulated a little bit. And here I think we have another very interesting habitat, very interesting color scheme, and pretty fun with a lot of details. So this one we're gonna move it over here, and let's move to the last one, that is Zastam, okay, a necromancer if I'm not wrong. Okay, this is the base that I have prepared for Zastan. Later we'll talk more about that red detail. First thing I need to do is fill up this area here at the back. So I have a sort of arch kind of detail. To this one, I already added the kind of flame pieces that come with the minifigure. Here I need to make them turn slightly on a slight angle. I'm going to also fill that gap here with a little bar and complete with this. Little detail over here, I don't have this one in dark gray, so I put it in black, but I think it's not a big deal. On the back side, I'm using the tiles that come with the Space series, so the same kind of printed minifigure tiles, but with this starry sky. On the back, I'm using some jumper so that I can align this perfectly. So I'm gonna have basically all around this big black starry sky, like so. I'm missing one piece over here. I'm not sure if I can put it back in. So this should help to fill the gap and don't let any lights coming through. Now, of course, I need to finish it up on top. So I'm just gonna add this one that is gonna connect to the structure over there. On the other side, actually this one needs to connect over here. Is a little bit of a fragile habitat, this one, but the final effect is pretty good. So this one is gonna go over here. Sorry, I'm making a mess here with the camera and with the microphone, but I'm working on a tight space. Anyway, now you can see the effect is pretty good. I'm also using these flame kind of power blasting that are a little bit difficult to balance. I added one stud at the back so it should help me to give a little bit of balance, even though probably they will fall down before the end of the video. I used this before in my Star Wars Bandits of Golax build, if you want to go and check it out. And then for this floor here, I was trying to use this sort of red cloth piece to create this red smoke effect. This is some footage from my membership program video, my weekly vlog for members. They already actually have a sneak peek, not just on this, but also on my future mock, a steampunk mock that I'm working on. I will link the membership down below if you want to go and check it out. Anyway, I watched the Dungeons and Dragons movies. Zastan was there, and there was this with the red smoke that was basically taking over all the people underneath. So something like that. Now, I don't know exactly how the red smoke is called, but it was a pretty cool scene with him and also with with one of the main characters of this movie. Anyway, I decided that the cloth piece was not working, so I brick built all this red smoke, and I think the final effect is not that bad. Of course, I had to use any kind of type of slopes over here. And then over here, I went with these tall cone pieces and with this little red on piece. Because in the center, I will need to connect Zastan. And again, making a use of one of the extra pieces that come in the series. This is from the Paladin. In that scene from the movie, you have this sort of horn piece. Now, I don't remember the name of that item. So basically, it will look like if the smoke is actually coming out of this horn piece. So you get what I mean, right? So the smoke is coming down there and is expanding all down here. Now, of course, the flames are not aligned anymore, as I was saying, but I think this is pretty cool. So all the D&D fan out there, let me know if I give justice to these three characters, what I build here is something that makes sense in the lore. Thank you for watching along all this series of D&D habitats and more. The habitats are not finished. I'm gonna still continue to build more habitats. Maybe not D&D, but let's see. That might be another series in the future. And there are some more habitat planned in the following months that you can go and check out. If you want to see some older one, I have an extensive playlist with many habitats. Or you can go and check out the very first one that I built. That is this Sushi Chef habitat. The video is not the best because this was probably 2 years ago. But it was a pretty cool habitat and it was the first one I think I built here on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you on the next video. Ciao, ciao.